We're talking about one of the greatest bands that's ever existed.
Yeah.
Bar none.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, it's so easy when you talk about Queen to just like think about Freddie. But as I've been doing so much more research, I
Yeah.
realize how important everybody in this band is to the success of the band and how important they all are. Like, I
Yeah.
really have such more respect for each of them as a group and as individuals after
Yeah.
doing
And
the
not
research for this.
right. And not even just because, oh, okay, let's just spread the love around. It's like each member of Queen is in the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Like, that's crazy.
They all make hits. And it's so crazy. And like, this is obviously, we're going to talk about Freddie. We're going to talk about all the boys, but it's like, it's such a compliment to Freddie that he lives the words so much that you wouldn't even really know that he didn't write all of these songs.
Right. Correct.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not that you don't get love for all the other people. It's just like, he embodies the words so much. It's like almost easy to forget that he didn't write all of these songs.
Yeah, he is your quintessential frontman. I would love to have somebody like that as a frontman if I were an instrumentalist. You know what I'm saying? I write a song down and I'm using my hands and you get to like live what I'm writing. It would be a joy to play with him all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and you could really feel that joy just watching them. But we'll get into it. Okay, so where do we even start?
I would start with Roger.
Okay, go for it.
I just want to start with Roger Taylor because I just feel like he's like the sturdy ox in between, right? Writing the songs, you know, this born in England, of course, and you know, just starting off young and just getting to meet Brian and then just starting away. Like Brian and Roger is who I want to start with.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess if we're talking about like Queen, we got to talk about Brian and Roger first, and then we can bring everybody in and get into like the backstory and stuff. But so Brian was a student at the Imperial College of London.
That is a bargain basement school, just in case you guys want to know. If you didn't figure it out from the title, it's the worst school you could go to.
Nobody prestigious has ever gone there. It's kind of like those things, like if you go to the Imperial College of London, like you kind of try to hide it from your friends.
Yeah.
You don't want everyone to know. But so Brian was there. He was studying physics, right? Even though his real love was astronomy.
Yeah, Brian or Roger?
Brian. Did I say Roger?
No, you said Brian, but Roger was studying too.
Oh, yeah, my bad. So Brian was there for physics and astronomy.
Yeah.
And he wanted to start a band. Yeah. He was a guitar player. We should probably say that. He did play guitar. He plucked the strings, you know what I mean? And he wanted to start a band, and he put up back in the day, you know, before social media, if you wanted to post something, you actually had to put it up on a wall.
Yes.
Like a physical wall, not a Facebook wall. You know what I'm saying?
Your memes.
So he had to actually post an ad at the Imperial College for a drummer. And the way that he did it is so fucking funny. Because he's like, I'm looking for a Mitch Mitchell, Ginger Baker type drummer.
Yes.
Which is like, I mean, I respect your ambitions, dude. But like, come on, bro. Like, that's like, imagine the other end, Roger, who drums, it puts up an ad. He's like, I'm looking for like a Jimi Hendrix type guitarist, like a Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page type guitarist. If there's anyone around,
they should be lining up.
You know what? It's a very lofty goal.
Yeah.
You know, but he went for it.
He did. Well, no, I wasn't going to say, I was just going to say how
bad.
intelligent he is, because this is somebody who actually made his guitar. He made it sound just like it was. Like this man, he could have been a great physician. No, I'm just kidding. A great physicist. He could have been a great physicist just without the music, because he came from an engineering background, and, you know, he got the guitar when he was little, and he didn't really like the way it sounded, or his fingers couldn't really work it. And he's like, I want to turn this into an electric Spanish guitar.
Yeah.
So he wraps copper wires around like at the fretboard and stuff, and it turns it into his own. He's like the first Eddie Van Halen. Like, you know, he turns it into his own.
Shout out. Yeah, he could have been designing rocket ships and shit, but he decided to be a rock star instead. So good for him. We applaud you for that. Good for you, Brian. But it's cool that you said that, because literally, like, I remember when I first started playing guitar, like, and I would get into Queen and shit,
Yeah.
I remember like when I first started like learning about guitars, like, oh, like that's a Stratocaster, that's a Les Paul or whatever. I remember looking at like the Queen videos and just it being like, what the fuck is this? Like, what kind of guitar is this? And then I did research on it and I learned that he made his guitar and I was like, this is a different kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this isn't just a party animal rock star kind of guy.
No.
You know?
He's a gentle guitar player, studies the craft of the actual mechanism and not just the sound.
He's a great axeman with a great head of hair.
Yeah, exactly. To this day, maybe add.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to that. So he puts the ad in for Mitch Mitchell, Ginger Baker type drummer, which is still so funny to me. And Roger comes through, and they said that immediately they knew that between the two of them they had something.
Yes, yeah. You can feel things like that sometimes too. You know.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, well, whoever comes in now, it's like we've got too strong. So whoever else comes in is going to have to match up to us, or we kick them out, like which they did.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's just so cool to like think about it because again, like I said at the beginning, like you always think of Freddie when you think of Queen right away, but when you kind of do the research on it, you realize that Brian and Roger are really the backbone of Queen. Like they were there before Freddie, and they're there after Freddie.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You know, so they meet up and they're doing drummer and guitar things, and that's what you do, right?
That's right.
And they go to start a band, and it's the band they originally call it Smile. Very, very creative name. They were frowning all the time while they were playing.
It's funny because, I've seen Brian and Roger be very pleasant, but they actually really don't smile a lot, which is funny.
What are you trying to say?
They're mean. No.
They should have named the band Frown. But, and they had a singer. Mm-hmm. His name was Tim, whatever the fuck, of the prestigious whatever the fuck family.
Yeah.
And they did all right. They didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But their lives were about to change.
Yeah.
Because Roger was working at like a clothing store or some shit, right? Or like some kind of like stall in like London, like in a market, right?
Yeah.
And he had a coworker there, who was a guy that was going by the name of Freddie. Mm-hmm. And I feel like at this point we should probably give some of his backstory because his story is so interesting.
Yeah, and kind of different from the others.
So much different.
Yeah.
I mean, so Freddie was born Farouk Balsara in Zanzibar. Which, first of all, Zanzibar, just the name of that, it sounds like the coolest place you've ever been. It just sounds great. Like you don't have to know anything about Zanzibar to know that there's palm trees there.
Yeah. When I was growing up, there was a club here in Flatbush called Club Zanzibar. Like, and I was like the best club to go to. So was
it
true.
Tropical? Did they serve like daiquiris and shit?
It's Caribbean. So, they definitely the rum punches and all those things are going around.
That's what's up. So Freddie was born, Farouk. He was not Freddie yet.
Right.
He was born in Zanzibar. To an Indian family, and his dad was working for like the British some kind of like British Foreign Office, right?
Yeah.
So they weren't like poor. They were actually like relatively pretty well off for what they were around. And
Freddie was broke, and he had to sell drugs to make it.
He had to sell crack before crack was even a thing. He was that ahead of a time. But he went to boarding school in India.
Yes.
And, at the boarding school, they teach you to be like very like proper English. So he ended up being more like proper in English than a lot of the people that he ended up meeting in England.
Yeah. That's true. Learn the classical arts. Like, boarding school was pretty serious. Like, I wonder if they beat him there. He didn't say anything.
That's the kind of thing that you push it down. In the true British spirit, you push it down.
It makes you a soldier.
It makes you better. It makes you a soldier of the British Army, so you can serve the Queen.
Pun intended.
Okay. So Freddie was there, and he was apparently they had a grand piano like in their house in Zanzibar. So he was always getting into music, and he was continuing to learn that, you know, as he was in boarding school and shit. And he used to get made fun of a lot
Yeah.
because
Why?
of his teeth.
Oh.
Because this was a person that was born with 4 extra teeth
Mm-hmm.
in the back of his mouth, so it made his like overbite like super strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it actually turns out that he believes that is a big reason why he can sing the way that he can.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I saw. That it like pushes his voice out, which is true. And then you top the British accent over it, where they kind of speak forward too, as opposed to
Yeah.
Americans who kind of speak back a little bit.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
What are
they
you
speak
saying?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the vocals need to go out that way.
Yeah. And it's funny, like I was thinking about that, and it's like I think we were talking about this the other day, like if you have a voice like that, you're not fucking with this at all.
Mm-mm.
You're not taking out any teeth. You're not getting your wisdom teeth removed. You're not getting braces. You're not getting fucking veneers. Nothing. You know what I mean? Like that's just, you're like, I am not messing with this.
Yeah.
And he was not messing with that.
Yeah. That's confidence for you. You know, first of all, he knows he's going to make it. That's one thing. You know what I'm saying? Because who says you're going to make it, Freddie? Who says you're that good?
Oh, well, there's a funny story about that too. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, you know, as we like to say. So he went to school, boarding school in India. He went back to Zanzibar, like while there was a revolution happening in Zanzibar.
Mm-hmm. That's the time to go.
Yeah, not really the best time to stay. You know, so if you're saying, should I stay or should I go? You should probably go. So they went to London. They went over to England, which is where, you know, he got into the scene there. And then he ended up, like we said, he was working at a whatever, like boutique stall in like a London market, where he became friends with Roger. And they were apparently they were just like always really good friends before Roger even knew him as a singer. Like they were always just like fucking around and like, you know, getting into trouble and just like having fun. Like him and Roger were just always really good friends from the time that they met.
Yeah, Roger was like, he didn't even see him as a singer. That was just his homie or his mate.
His mates, his chat.
One of the words I'm jealous of, because we're from here and we can't use that word.
We can use it. Who's going to stop you? Who's going to stop you?
Everybody that says I'm pretentious for using that word in America.
I think we're mates.
We are mates.
You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Hey, mate. You want to have some practice later, mate? Sure. I feel like that was more Australian than British.
Yeah. It kind of is.
I'm not good at accents, guys. Sorry. Will you ever forgive me? People at home, will you forgive me? Tell us in the comments how shitty my accents are. So, okay, yeah. So Roger was in a band. He was friends with Freddie.
Yeah.
And Freddie was always like super into the band. Like he was kind of setting himself up to just like always be around the band.
Yeah.
So then when Tim of the prestigious whatever the fuck family got an offer to join another band, which was like Lumpy Bong.
Yeah, and in some other band he was in, and they mention them as if you're supposed to know them. So I think it's a bigger English sensation as well, like, you know, and not necessarily mainstream America. But Tim, to his credit, was more into kind of like R&B, soul, Motown. He wanted to do that. He didn't necessarily want to do like rock, you know what I mean? So that's kind of why, you know, they didn't really mesh. It's not that Tim wasn't talented, because he wouldn't even be around around any of those guys if he weren't talented. So that's why he left, pretty much.
So he did. Hi, Tim. If you're watching, we appreciate you. So Tim left, and Freddie's like, well, you guys aren't going to stop, right? And at this point, he had already been going by Freddie. I don't know if he was Freddie Mercury yet.
Right. Yeah.
I think that happened around this time.
Yeah. As the band started growing.
Yeah.
That's who he became.
He grew into the Mercury life. The Mercury life chose him. You know what I mean? He didn't choose it. But yeah. So Tim leaves and Freddie comes in. And he's just like, all right. Apparently, he always had like a very fine eye for detail. Mm-hmm. And he was like from the very beginning when he got in the band, he was like, okay, we got to switch some things up. So we're going to have a new name and it's going to be Queen. And that's it.
Yeah.
He's just like, it's going to be called Queen. Okay.
And it's like, it took them seconds, literally, because they were kind of like, oh, I don't know about that. And it's like, it'll stand out. Like, it's different. And just like, why not? Like, you know, that's that boarding school in Freddie for the detail there, you know.
Right.
Everything in its perfect spot.